Like there's this entire table of a bunch of people that are pure, and they're allowed to sit there because they're pure and were born with that. And Frost is the only one that is half-blood. His motive is to rule over all the humans because like lower than them, they're insignificant. They're just food. They're just food to them. Which, I mean, they're basically a species. I'm not saying he's right. I'm not saying he's wrong. So they catch Karen. She runs away. They catch her again. And Whistler explains that Blade and Whistler go across the entire country to kill vampires. He also says that they're everywhere and they're in everyday places. And he gives her like this gadget that squirts things out and suggests a gun. And if she starts to be like a vampire, she knows who to use it on. We see that Frost is like trying to dissect an ancient language, which when he does, it is so confusing. More on that later. Blade drops Karen off at a dark alleyway and just leaves. So she goes inside her like apartment building, goes up an elevator and looks at the necks, and has like markings on them, and she realizes that she's with a bunch of vampires. They go into their own room, and she goes into hers. She's like packing up. She's gonna leave. I mean, like, you don't want to live in the world of vampires, so she's obviously going to Mars. And an officer walks in. Karen sprays him in the eye. He's like, what the heck, yo? I'm not a vampire. I work for him. And he's a normal dude. And Blade, he walks in and he beats him up. Blade looks at his neck and there's a thing called a glyph. Now, in this universe, a glyph is something to a specific vampire that was on those like seats, and it means a vampire owns you, basically, like you owe him something. The officer runs away, and Karen decides to go with Blade to help him on this adventure. Yay! They stake out and wait till the officer comes back. They try to get into this like vampire thing. I don't even know what to call it. I think it's a club, but Blade instantly starts like beating people up. They get to the officer in the kitchen. Blade opens the fridge because he's like, alright, where's the entrance to whatever they're trying to do? And the officer's like, through the fridge, and Blade's like, are you stupid? But Blade eventually opens the fridge, and inside is the entrance to the storage facility. Back at Frost's place, we see he's throwing a party, but he wasn't attending because he completed the translation. Now, about the translation, it is very, very confusing because it's like the graphics I am so confused about. They play it multiple times throughout the movie. It's very annoying. But it has like the glyphs and then one in the center, which is supposed to be Blood God, and then it explodes. But it never explains what happens when the Blood God is like expanding, and it just annoys me.